Hi, everyone. Welcome again to this NCS Proposal Summary webinar on October 14th. We are super excited to have all of you with us, and we hope that you learn something throughout the evening. Before we get started on the actual election or showing you our members and talking about the proposals, we want to give you a minute to know and reacquaint yourself with our council delegates. So we're going to get started by having our girl delegates introduce themselves. And we're going to start with Lily. So come on aboard, Lily, and let everybody say hi to you.
Hi, my name is Lily Hobbyhorse. I'm from Deerwood, Minnesota. I'm in 12th grade. I am looking forward to helping making decisions that will impact Girl Scouts in the future.
Thanks so much, Lily. All right, Sarah, will you join us next, please?
Hi, I'm Sarah Kessler. I'm from Grand Rapids. I'm in 11th grade, and I'm really excited to see the governance process in action with all these proposals we're going to be talking about.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. All right, Josie, our third and last girl delegate.
Hi, my name is Josie Moss, and I'm from Duluth. I'm in 12th grade, and I'm really looking forward to voting this year and really making a difference in the Girl Scout movement.
Thank you, Josie. All right, now we're going to introduce our two adult delegates. We'll start with Mary Jones. Mary, come on screen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Jones. I'm from Duluth. I'm an 11th year volunteer with Girl Scouts. I've been a troop leader and involved with the service unit as well as volunteering with the council. I am really looking forward to seeing how our Girl Scout movement looks from a national level. That's a new and exciting thing for me. So thanks for joining us.
Great, thanks, Mary. And believe it or not, we have two Mary delegates. So Mary Wyman Gunner.
Hi, I'm Mary Wyman Gunner. I'm from Clear Lake. I've had various troop-related positions. I'm also on the Gold Award Committee. I'm a Gold Award Girl Scout and a Lifetime Girl Scout and a Juliet Gordon Low member as well. This will be my 6th convention, and I'm really interested to see the governance process with doing it remotely versus being in person, and seeing how the energy takes place doing that remotely. I think it'll be quite different.
I think it will too, Mary. All right, so those are your 5 delegates. Our council gets 5 delegates who vote, but we also get 2 alternates. So next I'd like to introduce you to Katrina, who is the board chair for our council. Katrina.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. As Leanne said, I'm Katrina Villegas, and I am chair of the board of directors for this council. I'm also a lifetime member of Girl Scouts and spent maybe 3 or 4 years in the program as a girl member. And I think Mary Wyman Gunner, who spoke just before me, summed up exactly what I was thinking as far as what I'm looking forward to the 2020 National Convention. Just seeing how things go virtually from a national perspective and being involved at the local level in the middle of a pandemic. You can't get much more of a unique experience than that. So thank you, Leanne.
Thanks, Katrina, and I think you've said that very wisely. I am your second alternate delegate. As I mentioned at the start of our webinar, I'm Leanne Davis, our CEO and alternate. I have actually been in the Girl Scout movement. I really do need to memorize this, but I believe it's been about 42 years. I was a girl member from 1st grade all the way through my senior year in high school. I volunteered through college, and right out of college I started working for Girl Scouts. This is my 26th year working for us, and this will be my 6th national convention. And I too am very intrigued. I'm not going to say excited because I'd rather be in person, but I'm intrigued to see our virtual convention happen. I think that it's going to be a very different experience, but I do think it's going to be one that's going to go down in the books. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started by telling you a little bit about the 2 slates of candidates that are being elected to our national board and the National Development Committee. And to do that, I'm going to turn things over to Katrina, who is our board chair, and she is going to talk to you about all of this. So Katrina, take it away.
Thank you, Leanne. Good evening, everyone. Again, as I've already mentioned, I'm the board chair for Girl Scouts Lakes and Pines. And as you can see on the very detailed slide in front of you, one of the key responsibilities of the National Council is to elect the National Board of Directors. These are the folks who steward the movement in between sessions of the National Council. The National Board Development Committee is the one who puts the slate forward to the National Council. I know there's a lot of names and acronyms, but that is what's going on. The National Board and the National Board Development Committee candidates are listed on page 14, of the workbook, and their bios are also detailed in the workbook. If anyone is interested in reading the detailed biographies of each member, please contact us by emailing customer care, and they will send you an electronic copy. Thank you, Leanne. As you can see on this slide, our country is divided into 6 different regions. The goal is to find members from each region of the country. You can see Minnesota and I think Wisconsin, are both in region 4 at the top there. A common question people might ask about this process is how the National Board Development Committee determines the slate in the first place. Well, first of all, the committee asks all of the councils across the country to submit names of potential candidates. In addition, the members of the committee themselves go across the nation to find the very best candidates. They worked diligently to build a single slate of nominees who could steward Girl Scouts as we move through the next 3 years. They looked for Girl Scouts experience, expertise and skills, and a commitment to our movement that included consistent dialogue and transparent governance as described in the Slate commitment statement that each Slate member signed. The graph on the bottom right portion of the slide shows you some of the Girl Scout experience that the members bring to the board. It includes individuals who are Girl Scout Gold Award members, about 15% there, past council board chairs, looks like 24%, lifetime members, which is 100%, Girl Scouts volunteer experience at 85%, Girl Scouts alums, and other council experience. And I'm not sure it's detailed on either of the slides that we've put forward today, but to me it appears like there might be 5 officers and 25 members at large who are on the slate, so about 30 people, and that's what it looks like here. The commitment says 30 passionate Girl Scouts members and volunteers, so there you have it. Thank you. All right, so this process created a mosaic of nominees, as you can see in front of you now. And again, all of them are lifetime members of Girl Scouting, and they span all 6 regions across our country. They also bring a wide variety of skill sets and experience to benefit our movement. Each of these members have spent the entire summer attending webinars and listening to national delegates as they learned about the proposals being presented. These members will be presented as a single slate during the National Council session. Now I'll turn it back over to Leanne to introduce the proposal being voted on at the session. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Katrina. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to get started in talking about what those proposals are. So in addition to the slate of nominees that Katrina just talked about for the board and the board development committee, there are actually 6 proposals that are going to be voted on for the NCS agenda. All of the background information for each of these proposals was presented to our national delegates in the workbook that Katrina talked about, and that was also on the delegate website. That website is obviously only available to our delegates, but the workbook can be made available to you if you're interested by emailing customer care at girlscoutslp.org like Katrina talked about. So We're going to quickly review each of these proposals today, and then we'll briefly share each proposal and the rationale for the proposal. And then we'll be reflecting on the information that was gathered over the summer and clarifying what each of those proposals means. And then lastly, we'll summarize, provide that summary to you so that you know what will happen if it is adopted by the National Council's, in the National Council session. So on the screen, you can see there are 6 proposals. Proposal 1 is to establish a task force to examine the feasibility of the National Gold Award Scholarship Foundation. Proposal 2 is a constitutional amendment on membership dues. Proposal 3 is the adoption of a procedure for communication on dues action by the National Board. Proposal 4 is a membership dues increase restriction. Proposal 5 is a constitutional amendment on the consistency in delegate terms. And Proposal 6 is a lifetime membership discount. All right, we're going to get started by turning it over to Josie, who is going to talk about proposal number 1. Josie, you can take it away.
Thanks, Leanne. Okay, this is the first proposal on the proposed agenda for NCS. It proposes creating a task group to examine the feasibility of the National Gold Award Scholarship Foundation and was submitted by the Girl Scouts of Greater Chicago and Northwest Indiana. It requires a majority vote to pass. You can see on the screen the basics about this proposal. The proposal was created because there is an interest in increasing the number of Gold Award scholarships available, elevating the Gold Award in external markets, and researching all the legal and tax ramifications. It's important to keep in mind that this proposal directs the creation of a task group. If this passes, the task group will be created to examine all aspects of creating a foundation, including how the program would work, how many girls would get scholarships, how much the scholarships would be, and if it could be for any post-secondary education, not just college. Some have asked about girls on the task group, and that is certainly something that can be considered when the task group is being put together, should this proposal pass. The task group would look into how a foundation would be created, how the foundation would be funded, and the way that the foundation would fund scholarships for Gold Award Girl Scouts. The passing of the proposal doesn't guarantee that a foundation will be established, but it does guarantee that a broad group of individuals from across the movement will do all of the research needed to see if creating such a foundation is right for Girl Scouting. Once the research is done, they will complete a report. If they think a foundation should be established, they will have a detailed plan for how that foundation will be established, funded, and operated. If they don't think such a foundation is right, they will have the research results to explain why that is so. So to summarize, if the National Council approves this proposal, a group of people from councils and GSUSA will be appointed by the National Board to look at all the ins and outs of creating a foundation to give out scholarships to Gold Award Girl Scouts and make recommendations about whether or not it is a good idea. A report of this task group's work will be given at the 2023 NCS. I'd like to turn things back over to Leanne to field any questions from the group.
All right, thanks, Josie. As a reminder, if anyone has a question or a comment about this proposal, we'll give you a couple of minutes to type something into the chat box, and then I'll take a look at it and do my best to answer questions. In order for me to field the questions in the chat box, I am going to stop sharing this screen for a brief moment and see if we've got any questions. All right, members that are out here, do you have any questions for us? All right, are you going to talk about what your opinions are? Well, we most certainly could, but we'd also really welcome the opportunity for you as folks that are out here to give your opinions about what you think about this proposal, if it's something that you support. I know many of you are just hearing about it for the first time, but why don't we go ahead and have our members pop on the screen, our delegates. Why don't you pop on the screen? Do any of you want to share how you're feeling about this proposal?
I would like to share. This is Mary Wyman Gunner, and as a member of the Gold Award Committee, we have really received a lot of input from girls that feel that there should be more opportunities to get scholarships and aid due to the fact that it is very difficult and a lot of work to earn that award. So I, by all means, am in favor of getting that task force together.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing, Mary. Mary W. Mary J., do you have something you'd like to say?
I would just like to say that I do think this is a very important proposal. I think that Gold Award Girl Scouts need every advantage that they can get moving forward. It's a lot of work to earn the Gold Award, and I don't believe that the opportunities are equal among genders, I guess, and among scouting organizations. So it would be nice to acquire more recognition and more opportunity to the Gold Award honorees.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. And Josie, you popped on the screen. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, well, just as someone who's now looking to apply for colleges and scholarships, I think it would be really great for Gold Award Girl Scouts to have a better way to access the funds they should get for completing their award versus having to shop around at all the different colleges and try and find something.
Great. Thanks, Josie. And another comment that came in was from Kathy Town, who said she would support this only to explore. And so that's one of the important things to remember that was covered by Josie when she was looking at this proposal. This is about exploring the creation of such a task, of such a foundation. As many of you may or may not know, the ability to start a foundation is a really, really big task, and it has a lot to do with how you start a national foundation. Where is the money going to come from? Will it come from councils? Will it come from GSUSA? Will it come from only donors? Who would be able to apply? How many scholarships would you be able to give out of the foundation? How much money would you have to have in the foundation before it could start giving out money? There's just a lot of things to cover. So this does only cover starting the task group to look at the idea. But everybody that I've heard from over the summer on our delegate webinars have said the same things that our actual members have said, which is we think it would be a really great idea to explore, because we all think the Girl Scout Gold Award is an amazing thing for girls. So, all right. Then what we're going to do next, if there aren't any other comments that I see in the chat box, is we will kick things off by going over proposals 2 and 3. And before I kick it over to Mary Wyman Gunner to cover this with us, I will tell you that these proposals are being shared with you right now collectively together, and they have been shared collectively together for the entire summer, but they will be voted on separately. And I think, Mary, you might even cover that as well. So Mary, why don't you come on camera and you can begin.
All right. I think we need to go to another slide. There, thank you. I like it, thank you. You see on this slide 2 proposals that were created by the National Council Session Advisory Team, dues subgroup, and placed on the agenda by the National Board of Directors. Because these proposals are closely related, we're considering both of them together today. However, it is important to keep in mind that they will be discussed, debated, and voted on separately at the National Council session. Proposal 2 is a constitutional amendment and will require a 2/3 vote to be approved, while Proposal 3 will require a majority to be approved. These proposals are about the process for setting dues. Proposal 2 confirms the way that we have been working over the past decade, with either the National Council or the National Board acting to set dues. Sometimes dues have been set by the National Council, like the lifetime membership dues price at the 2017 National Council session, or set by the National Board between sessions, like the extended year membership dues category of $35 and the annual membership dues increases back in 2012 and 2016. The first part of Proposal 2 confirms that both groups set dues. But importantly, it also hardwires into the Constitution a requirement, communication, and input gathering from councils, because the dues subgroup heard from many councils that communication and transparency were really important. Proposal 3, more details about the provides more details about that communication and input gathering process and procedures. Over the summer, during the forums, there were many questions about how that input would be gathered and why there was not more specificity in Proposal 2 on that. The approach was to hardwire the obligation to communicate and get input from delegates as well as councils into the Constitution. Then more details on that process are contained in Proposal 3 in the procedures section. It's difficult to imagine every potential way communication input could be handled, and flexibility is important because the communication and input gathering process would vary depending on the circumstances. For example, the input gathering and report out process would be different depending on whether the change was a short life-term membership promotion, as was done in April 2019, or an annual membership dues change. The National Board's commitment statement outlines what they pledge to do to ensure that increased communication and input, including providing delegate updates and getting delegate input via our delegate website, sharing National Board meeting highlights, issuing interim reports to the movement, attending annual council CEO/board chair meetings where input can be gathered, conducting quarterly calls with board chairs, as well as joining council events and working groups of national and local staff and volunteers that tackle topics of strategic importance. There were discussions on the forum about how the board would balance or consider that input. The idea of these proposals is that our board wants council input. They know the perspective of councils and delegates is important. Many on the slate came from councils and they understand the impact of decisions at the local level. There's also a commitment to diversify the diversity of input and views across our movement that need to be factored into our decision making, the same way council boards balance all input and information when they make decisions. These proposals are about committing to a transparent process and dialogue throughout the decision-making continuum. So I'll recap this one. Proposals 2 and 3 are about the process of setting dues in our movement. Proposal 2 amends the Constitution to clearly state that either the National Council or the National Board can set membership dues, just as we have been doing over the years. It also adds express communications and input gathering obligations. Proposal 3 sets forth procedures on communication and input gathering when the National Board sets dues, along with the reporting out to the impact of the changes. I'll turn it back to Leanne now.
All right, thanks, Mary. I will do the same as before, and I'll stop my sharing so that we can pop back over to our chat box and see if there are any questions. I would share while I'm waiting for questions to kind of pop in that these two proposals are probably what we would consider to be the meatiest proposals that are before the delegation, and a lot of conversation took place with those as well. So it's been a long summer of talking about these. Are there any questions that anyone has? I'm not seeing too much in the chat box. All right. If you do end up having questions later on, don't worry, we'll give you another opportunity to do that later. All right, I'll come
So
back.
Leanne, this is Mary.
Why don't you pop on the screen, Mary?
Just if I could ad lib here. I think that sometimes it gets a little confusing as to the National Board versus the National Council. And the National Council is made up of the delegates and the alternates and membership. So that's what the council is versus the board that gets voted on. And I think all of this length.
Yeah, the board is a part of the National Council, but they have an additional responsibility when they serve on the board. You're correct.
So it gets a little confusing sometimes, and you kind of have to step back and think through that.
Yep, exactly. And I think the really important thing to remember is that part of why we elect our board and our board development committee is because the preamble of our Constitution talks about the fact that since we only meet once every 3 years, that we really turn the responsibility over to the national board to be stewarding our resources throughout the 3 years when we, between the time that we're meeting as a full national council. So that was a really good point to bring up, Mary, because it can get very confusing when you are in the middle of debating. So thank you for doing that. All right, so we are going to move on now to proposal 4, and this proposal is going to be covered by Sarah. So Sarah, please come and join us on the screen, and I will move on to your slide. Take it away, Sarah.
All right, so you can now see the proposal number 4 on the screen. This proposal is requiring a membership dues increase restriction on the national board. This one was submitted by the Girl Scouts of Greater Chicago and Northwest Indiana. The wording in green is what the council is proposing to change. This proposal requires a majority vote for adoption. Excuse me. All right. This proposal places some guardrails and limitations on dues that are set by the national board. So it limits dues increases by the board to no more than 25% per triennium. And to be clear, that 25% is over the entire 3-year period. It's not 25% every year. The board would have to seek approval from the full national council if it wanted to increase dues more than 25% during a triennium. One of the topics that was discussed extensively on this proposal during the summer was affordability, because we can all agree that it's really important that Girl Scouts is affordable for every girl. This proposal would provide a 25% cap on how much dues could be increased during any triennium by the board. The National Council could always agree to increase by a higher percentage, but this 25% limit is intended to provide some certainty to councils and members between sessions of national councils and ensure that dues increases were not too burdensome. When the board met in January 2020, pre-COVID, to discuss these proposals, they considered the recommendation of the NCS advisory team and the environment at the time. Fast forward to today, a lot has changed. The board spent a lot of time listening this summer. They attended every delegate forum, pored over the feedback they were hearing. They heard about the level of concern that members had about keeping membership affordable, especially during these trying times. And they listened closely to those concerns about council budgeting. Given the support they heard from many of the delegates for this proposal and the affordability concerns that were raised, they made the decision to join councils in support of this proposal, and if the delegates vote for this, they would work within a 25% limit. So if this proposal passes, the national board cannot increase dues more than 25% total during a triennium, unless approval is sought from the National Council. This does not restrict dues increases by the National Council. Now that we've discussed proposal 4, I'll turn it back over to Leanne.
Thanks, and great job, Sarah. So as you've already heard, this talks also about membership dues. There are a lot of proposals about membership dues. So are there any questions that you have about proposal 4? Checking it out in the chat here. As I'm waiting, if you're thinking about a question, I did receive a question from Sarah back this summer when the board announced that they were changing their position, and she asked me, has this ever happened before? And what I was able to tell her is that in the 6 National Council sessions that I had prepped for, I had never seen it happen before. So this was quite amazing that the board had the opportunity to hear from delegates so early, and that they did make the decision to change their position on this proposal. So that's one of the things that was very new this year, is that there were actually 21 forums that the board listened to. We attended 2 forums ourselves. One forum covered all membership, and then the second forum covered the other 2 proposals. And so they were on 20 different webinars listening to the proposal input that the delegates were given, because those actual forums were not about hearing about what the proposal was about. It was simply about listening to what folks had to say. So I just got a question. Does that mean this proposal is a for sure yes for a vote? No, it doesn't mean that, because even though the Chicago Council has recommended this for a proposal and the National Council Board of Directors have said they support it, there's still a chance that some members may feel that the national board should have the ability to raise dues more than the 25% if a particular circumstance warranted it. So we didn't hear over the summer that everybody supported it. We heard plenty of people saying why they didn't support it. So it's not a for sure, but I would be surprised if it didn't pass. I think that'll be an interesting experiment that we can have to see if a proposal that's supported by everybody does pass. If I were a betting person for any of you on the call or who have attended a national council session before, I would imagine that this proposal is very ripe for what are called amendments. And I think that there are going to be some people who want to amend this proposal. And once amendments start getting added to proposals, it really can quickly change the opinions of the members. 25% was set to say they can't raise dues to about over $6 in a 3-year period. And if someone were to lower that to 5%, members might say, we can't put that big of a limitation. That's like $1 and $1.50. Like, that's too small of an increase. So if that amendment passed, they may vote that down. So to me, this one's going to be a little more complicated just because I think amendments are coming, but that was a really excellent question. All right, any other questions? All right, then we will keep moving. And remember, if you decide you have questions down the road, you can most certainly ask them. What we're going to do now is move to proposal 5, and this proposal is going to be covered by Lily. Lily, why don't you go ahead and join us?
On this screen, you will find the information on Proposal 5. It says that all delegates must be elected during the calendar year before the National Council session. 2 councils submitted this one, Central and Southern New Jersey and Southeastern New England. Only the words in green are changing. This is a constitutional amendment, so it will require a 2/3 vote for adoption. This proposal is created for a couple of reasons. The term for national delegates is 3 years. By making the election people 1 year earlier, this proposal would offer more time for pre-national council session education and engagement activities. Every council is different in how they manage the election of their national delegates. Our council currently elects delegates in the calendar year of the convention. There are many questions about what a change like this would mean for girl delegates. Delegates, including those of us who are girls, would love more time to learn about parliamentary procedure before suddenly having to apply it to the proposals being voted on. Also, as a delegate, whether you're a girl or an adult, you agree to a 3-year term, something that is not changing with this proposal. If the term started earlier, the delegates could help shape proposals, then vote on them if they got put on the agenda, then come back and help explain the changes and prepare the next set of delegates. During discussions, a lot of the discussion was about girl delegates. In reality, there is no difference between a girl and an adult delegate. All are national delegates, and we all have the same responsibilities. So there really isn't a way to age out. Even if you were elected as a delegate in your senior year of high school, you would still be a delegate for the 3-year term. So what happens if this is adopted? All delegates would have to be elected during the calendar year before the NCS year. This would allow for more consistent and lengthier delegate engagement and education. Girl Scouts, Lakes, and Pines would need to change our bylaws, and we as delegates would only serve a 2-year term, which would end when the next delegates are voted in. So, our delegates would be elected in January of 2022 and would attend the convention in the fall of 2023. Now that we've discussed Proposal 5, I'll turn it back over to Leanne.
Thank you, Lily. And we'll give all of you an opportunity to ask questions again in the chat section. one of the things that I can share with you as I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions is what I think is exciting about this. We now have our annual meeting in January, but way back in the day, before our fiscal year changed, we used to have our annual meeting in April. And delegates would only have between April and then October or November to get ready for the National Council session. And I can tell you that there is a lot of work that goes into getting ready to be a delegate, and that short amount of time was really difficult. I can also tell you that then after they came back from the National Council session and presented at the annual meeting, there wasn't a whole lot of additional work that happened. And that's one of the things that the National Council session and the national delegates have been saying they want to change, is they want the opportunity to hear more about Girl Scouts after the National Convention so that they can give input into ideas. And more importantly, that they want to be able to prepare accordingly. So by moving this, we'd really be giving the opportunity for those delegates to prepare, but also they'd have the opportunity to actually help form proposals that could be put in front of the national board for the possibility of voting. And that would mean the proposal they help create would be the same proposal that they would learn about, and then would be the same proposal that they would vote on. So I personally am excited about this proposal because I think it has a lot of potential for the delegate process, for governance process for us as a movement. So I am not seeing any questions pop in, so we will share our screen again. Wonderful. And then we're going to move on to our sixth proposal. And that proposal is going to be covered by Mary Jones. So Mary, why don't you, there you are, joining us on the screen. You can take it away. We're on the home stretch.
All right. So Proposal 6 discusses the possibility of a lifetime membership discount. This proposal was submitted by Girl Scouts of Connecticut. It's suggesting in the green wording that a new category of lifetime dues be created. A majority vote is required for adoption. Next slide, please.
Mary?
Yep. A brief summary of the Council's rationale for this proposal is on the screen. This proposal creates a new lifetime membership category if passed. Currently, there is a Young Alum Lifetime Membership and the regular lifetime membership. This proposal wants to take a short-term discount opportunity that was available last spring and make it permanent. It does not change any of the other discounts and lifetime membership pricing that is already in the Blue Book. To get the discount, you need to be a volunteer for 10 or more years. The 10 years of service do not need to be consecutive. All years as an adult volunteer count, no matter where you're volunteered. When registering as an adult for this lifetime membership category, everyone is on her or his honor as a Girl Scout to be honest and fair about how long they have served as a volunteer. Volunteer service counts for adult years only. If a girl is interested in purchasing a lifetime membership for post-high school, graduating seniors can utilize the Young Alum Lifetime Membership discount applicable for adult members under the age of 30. Nothing changes for that discount. The board agrees that long tenured volunteers are critical to our mission. The knowledge and commitment that they bring to our girls is immeasurable. They are so grateful for their service. When the board evaluated this proposal, they focused on the excitement of a limited promotion, allowing for specific marketing messaging to be used to create excitement and a sense of urgency around a membership promotion. But again, they joined every single delegate forum this summer and they listened. They heard just how important many of you felt about providing a permanent discount to long-term volunteers. So the board is pleased to join the council in support of this proposal. So to summarize, if the proposal were to pass, there would now be 3 categories of lifetime membership. 2 discounted lifetime membership categories, one for young alum and the other for our long-term volunteers. Both of these discounts would be half the regular fee, or $200. The third category would remain the standard lifetime membership for $400. This concludes the proposal review section of the webinar. I'll now turn it back to Leanne and open up for questions.
Thanks, Mary. Great job. All right. So does anybody have any questions for us about Proposal 6 and the lifetime membership dues? Questions, opinions? All right. One of the things that I'll say about the lifetime membership that has been a lengthy part of the conversation, and for myself has been one of the reasons why I personally have teetered back and forth between supporting this and not supporting it. One of the things the National Board originally said was that they preferred to leave this type of dues category as a limited offer, because they found last year when they offered it in 2019 that there was a huge surge in the lifetime members when it was a special offer. And in fact, the majority of the actual people who registered to become lifetime members was on the last day of the offer. So from their perspective, they would have preferred to have left this as an offer that would be out there instead of a permanent discount. But as Mary said, they listened to a lot of the feedback and decided that they would again support this with all of the other councils. One of the things to note is that the money that's raised from lifetime membership dues goes into a special account. And last year, money was given from that account to councils to help assist us as councils with giving financial assistance to girls in the year that there was a membership increase. So if this becomes permanent and members can get this discount at $200, it's fair to say there'll be less money in that account and there may be less opportunities for them to assist councils at different times, but it also gives the opportunity for more volunteers to become lifetime members. So there's two sides of this, and that's part of what everybody's going to be discussing and asking questions about during the proposal. All right, Mary, I don't see any, but please stay on the screen if you can. And I'd like all of our delegates to rejoin us on the screen so that we can see you all. And Katrina, you're an alternate, so we want to see you as well. You're somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yay. We want to see everybody. There you go. Well, we really want to thank you for joining us tonight for the NCS Summary webinar. I really hope that you've learned something new about our organization and what happens at those National Council sessions. It will be a very interesting to attend this National Council session, and you still have the opportunity to do that. I originally was told that the gallery tickets were only on sale through the 14th, but they have now extended the gallery sale tickets until the 18th. And the way to purchase those was also shared with you in the email that went out to talk about this webinar. So if this maybe spurred an interest in attending the National Council session as a visitor in the gallery, please click on that link and get your gallery ticket. It's free, so I can't think of a better cost than that. And that way you can watch it. Our national delegates will be attending and keeping track of everything that happens with the votes so that they'll be able to share that. They'll put together a presentation, and that presentation will be shared with you at our annual meeting in January of 2021. And Mary Wyman Gunner asked the really important question, do we know the date yet? And we do. It is Friday. There'll be a social on January 22nd. And then Saturday on January 23rd will be the actual annual meeting. Right now, it is slated to happen in Duluth. However, I always think it's important to let you know that given our current circumstances in the world, we may end up needing to move our annual meeting to a virtual annual meeting. So if that happens, all of the people you see on the screen right now will be considered the experts in an annual meeting virtually, and they're going to help Katrina and I put that annual meeting together so that we don't feel like we don't know what we're doing. So we're counting on all of you to watch how this goes if we end up needing to move this to a virtual meeting. If after this evening you have any questions and you're wondering about something related to the proposals or the national board slate, you can most certainly contact the council at that customer care email address that Katrina talked about, or you can email me personally at ladavis@girlscoutslp.org. Or you can call my office number 320-247-4558 and leave a message, and I'll do the best I can to get a hold of you. Delegates, do you have anything else you'd like to share or say this evening? I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't tell you that was going to happen.
I would like to say thank you to everyone for giving me the opportunity. We are voted representatives for the council, so thank you for your votes, and I appreciate the opportunity very much.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mary. I'm sure that's a sentiment that's shared by all of our delegates and alternates. They're the folks you elect to represent you, and so that's a very important job, and we're very proud of every one of them. All right. Again, thank you so much for attending. This is going to conclude our webinar, and we hope you all have a wonderful evening. Bye, everyone.